everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Collector Car Canada podcast. Today we're going to talk about Collector Car Canada Lot 182, which is a custom 1973 Volkswagen Beetle with a 4-speed manual. This is a really interesting car and definitely something that catches the eyes at the cruise nights and unlike anything else. It's got a black matte finish, pretty popular touch these days. It's got an original set of VW steel wheels that have been painted black with red rings, and those are skinned in a set of Michelin XZX tires. Chrome bumpers with rubber bumper guards, both front and rear. It's got VW glass all around, and a driver's side chrome mirror, like a Beetle of its period you'd expect. But as I say, it's pretty custom. Going to the interior, it's got original VW Beetle vinyl bucket seats up front. There is a light tear in the driver's seat, and the owner has covered that up with a piece of electrical tape, which matches the color, but there is a tear underneath the tape. The current owner, who's owned the car about 4 years, changed some of the upholstery in the car. He's brightened up the interior by putting fitted red door cards in, as well as the equivalent position in the rear seats, so sort of the sidewalls of the rear seats in red. It really does wake up the interior of the car a bit from being a monochrome black. And another nice touch on the door cards is that there are map pockets on these door cards, something that really just wasn't thought of it back in 1973. There's some neat custom instrumentation on the interior as well. There's a Bosch tachometer, always a nice touch when you're shifting your own gears. It's always nice to know how many revs you're turning. So that's a Bosch unit that's it's installed mounted in the center of the dash. Right behind it is actually a fire extinguisher. I always like to see those on hobby cars. And more on the inside, there's a stock looking 4-spoke VW steering wheel. I can't tell if that is the original steering wheel or not, but certainly it's definitely a VW Beetle style steering wheel. There are some photos on our listing where we pull up the carpets in the footwells for both driver and passenger, and you'll see there's a little bit of surface rust there, but the floors are definitely solid. You'll be able to conclude that from the photos we have. There's an aftermarket Alpine head unit in place. So that's a modern unit. The model number is IDA-X303. It's got your normal amenities like Bluetooth, so it'll plug into your phone for a hands-free conversation. HD radio is another feature it has. It's backed up by a couple of round 6-inch speakers, and those are mounted sort of at the sides of outside legs of both driver and passenger, and four of the doors. Nice touch for this car. It comes with 3 complete sets of keys, so separate key for ignition and door, and as I say, 3 sets come along with this car. Going back to the exterior, I did talk about the wheels with the red accents on the rings. One thing you'll notice from our photo gallery, this car is photographed with its air suspension featured. So air suspension installed, and there are photos of the car both with the air suspension raised and lowered. So when it's lowered, it's probably not for driving, but it looks pretty cool at a cruise night. I'll add that one of our videos demonstrates the raising of I was going to say raising and lowering, but it's actually 2 separate videos. There's one video demonstrating the air suspension raising the body of the car, and another video of it lowering the car. The owner's done a nice job of selecting some sort of appropriate, Beetle appropriate stickers on the car, all removable, of course, if that's a personal touch that the new owner doesn't want to have. The tail lights are a reasonable facsimile of a 73 stock tail light, but rather than having amber lenses, it's got clear lenses for the indicators. So the light underneath is the color. That's the source of the color when the indicators are flashing to indicate an upcoming turn. And then another white part, a clear part of the lens for the reverse lights. This car, the licensed technician owner, I think that's always a good person to buy from, but the licensed technician owner suggests that the only thing needed in Ontario safety for those buyers in Ontario is to get the washer nozzles reset and functional again. There is an interesting exhaust setup. It gives the car quite a nice rumble, actually. This car was originally equipped with a 1,585cc flat 4 engine with a single port. It's been bored out to 2180cc. So what's that? That's almost a 600cc increase. And it's a dual port engine now. And the owner says the manual on that spec of engine says the car is good for over 130 horsepower. So that's quite potent for a Beetle. Just cruising through the rest of our gallery here. I think I've addressed most of the interior items. If you look at the front trunk, as well as there being some controls and a washer fluid tank and a spare tire on an original VW wheel, you'll see some yellow paint if you look into our listing, and that's the original color of the car. So it is a repaint. Certainly, that's no secret with it being a matte black finish. But seeing that original yellow paint under the cover of darkness under the front trunk lid, we know that it was not a rusty old front trunk that had to be sanded down to the metal. Going to the engine compartment, boy, it is presentable for a 51-year-old piece. You'll see that the two air filters have pre-filters for them. So it's easier to clean. The seller made the point to us that the pre-filters are easier to clean than the filters themselves. So that's why he has those installed. But looking at that engine bay, it's quite presentable. The ignition cables are clean and looking new. Same with the distributor and a couple of the pulleys, as well as the belts underneath. Air-cooled, of course, and a flat 4. So a lot of the same technology from the early years of the Beetle, and a lot of the same technology that went into the engines for a Porsche 356 and 914, 912, some of those old Porsche models. Of course, the 911 Porsche has always been a flat, not a flat 4 like this car, but a flat 6. But yeah, those Porsche cars certainly show their VW roots with those engine layouts. Being that the owner is a licensed technician, as I say, he's got access to a lift. The car's on the lift. He's able to maintain the car all the time with easy access to a lift. But he's also given us several photos of the underside, probably about a dozen we have on the listing. And hard to find any rust down there. It's nice, clean underside. Showing some signs of wear, of course, but no signs of rust. Going back to our selection of videos, there are a few driving videos that sort of show cruising speed. We've got a couple of the car accelerating and rolling through the gears. It's a 4-speed manual, and there's one where we have not really a panic brake, but a braking with urgency, I think we called it, and a little drive-by, a couple of drive-by videos. So have a look at our listing, please. There are 158 photos on it, so lots of detail there. And we've also got, it looks like, 11 videos on the listing. So you'll find the listing on our website, collectorcarcanada.ca, and this custom 1973 Volkswagen Beetle 4-speed manual with a 2180cc engine producing about 130 horsepower, custom exhaust, and air suspension, lots of custom interior appointments as well. It's Collector Car Canada lot 182. So collectorcarcanada.ca, you'll find our custom 1973 Volkswagen Beetle 4-speed manual as lot 182. To like, share, and subscribe. You'll find our video podcast on YouTube. Our handle there is Collector Car Canada. Collector Car is one word. But searching up Collector Car Canada podcast on YouTube will get you there as well. Thank you again. Like, share, subscribe.